We're in a hype cycle. It's, there's actually people study this. You could Google the Gartner hype cycle and you see the graph of hype and so on. We're in a big hype cycle. I get tired of it. Every company feels like they have to say that somehow what they do is AI. And when you dig into it, you find out, okay, they're just saying they use software, but AI is, there's no relevant legal definition. It is, I guess, what you say it is, right? Although there's, I think, more we could think about that. This is, though, I'm in the business, so you weigh this as you want. It is a transformative technology. There will be winners and losers. And I don't really have any question that that there will be, 10 years from now, we will be seeing which companies figured this out and were able to take advantage of it and which ones didn't. It's that kind of a technological transformation. There's an Elon Musk, Elon Musk, among other things, great producer of quotes. There's an Elon Musk quote: if your competitor is building AI and you are not, they will crush you. And I think that is substantially true in a lot of industries.
Good morning, Albuquerque. It's 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning, and that means it's 1 million cups. And if you haven't made it to the back of the room yet, there's pizza and breakfast pizza. So it's not just regular donuts today. So get out there and carbo load and overindulge, because we don't want to have empty boxes. We want to have empty boxes at the end. Okay, welcome to 1 million cups. It's time to check in. So point your phone at the QR code that's on the screen, or on the cards that are on the tables around you. And that'll let the Kauffman Foundation know that the 1 Million Cups chapter here in Albuquerque is thriving, and we have a lot of people. Okay, so here's our mission. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. Your family told you not to do this. The job you quit, they said, you'll be back. And, lots of people have said it's not your thing. But we're here to make that easier. So we're going to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for new and aspiring entrepreneurs all across the United States. And how do we do that? We have a national and a local mission. We're supported by the Kauffman Foundation, which provides our software backend and trains our organizers in how to coach the presenters. So there will be a consistent program across all chapters of 1 Million Cups all across the country, and there's close to 200 of them. So, of course, every community is unique. And since the organizers are from the community, we know our strengths and we try to take advantage of those. We are the #1 chapter in New Mexico, and we achieve that by having a small denominator. And, we would welcome other chapters, but I've been to some of these other places, Amarillo and Lubbock, for example, and you walk in there and it's just like here, except it's different people and different companies pitching. So you feel it a very warm and welcoming environment, and that's what we strive to accomplish at all of our chapters. Okay, here's our key pillars. These are presentations, not pitches. What's the difference? In a pitch, you're presenting your company or your product to either customers or to investors, and you're putting your best foot forward. You don't have a lot of time. You've got to say all the wonderful things about you, and the stuff that keeps you awake late at night, that's not part of the presentation. But that can be part of the presentation here, because this community is here to help. We're mostly entrepreneurs here. Everyone who's an entrepreneur, raise your hand. Yeah, see, look around you. So everybody's going through some version of what you're going through, and they're perfectly willing to be helpful and connect you with other people. These are authentic connections, not a business card contest to see how many you can pass out in 5 minutes. And all kinds of people and all kinds of businesses are welcome here. Mom and pop shops, little whiteboard companies that might have just got their first outside funding, companies that are scaling, or companies that have gone all the way and they're going to come back and tell us how it's done. All those folks are welcome here. Please keep it friendly and helpful. And that's kind of what this is about. If you're in a conversation and the other person knows a lot more about something than you do, listen carefully and ask good questions. If it's the other way around, please be patient, answer the questions as well as you can, and make sure they understand what you're talking about. All right, it's easy to apply to present. Talk to any one of the organizers and we will set you up. You should be a for-profit business defined as a company that sells goods or services for more than it costs to produce them. We prefer that you were in business 5 years or less. And other than that, you're certainly welcome to present your company. We'll make you look your best. Okay, here's our organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter with Equiseek, Lisa Atkins here with FatPipe, Eric Whitmore is keeping Santa Fe running. Laura Jepson, are you hiding today? She's not here.
I'm online today. Hey, guys.
You're online today. Danielle is here. Keiko and Oscar are making family documentaries right now. And Nora and Barb are here, right? Yeah. Barbara's now getting ready for her course, I guess, right? Okay. Thanks to all of those organizers. And if you want to coach, it'll be one of those. Okay, it's also a pleasure to thank our sponsors, Fat Pipe. We've been in this space without paying a dime for over 10 years, and we couldn't exist without Fat Pipe. Dry Heat Photography, Deanna's making us look good right now. More Than Organized, Miriam Ortiz-Pino will organize your stuff, your thoughts, and provide creamer. Foundation for Sustainable Living, Franklin's here today. He's providing the coffee. Beyond Energy, I don't see him today, but if caffeine is not enough, there's Beyond Energy. Noventum Custom Software for software that doesn't suck, and Minuteman Press for all your ink on paper needs. So thanks to all of our sponsors. Oh yes, it is also a pleasure to acknowledge the pizza breakfast sponsored by Fundaxi. Fundaxi is a company that helps nonprofits raise money by having you have a fundraiser at a restaurant. It's good for the restaurant, it's good for the nonprofit, and the food is good. Try Cello Grill, which is some of the people behind Fundaxi. But immediately try the pizza in the back. Very nice. Yeah, big heart there. All right, thank you. And I will hand it over to Lisa, I guess. Right?
Sir, we get our slide deck up. I'm here to introduce John Boersma. He has a management consulting company, and he deals with artificial intelligence. So please welcome John. He's going to tell us his story.
Good morning. Yes, I'm John Boersma, JB Management Consulting, and in true 1 Million Cups fashion, I want to start by telling you a little bit about my journey and how I got here, how I got to where I am. So a little bit about me. I had what I think of as a first career in telecommunications, leading groups of engineering teams, operations teams, customer service teams, ultimately running all of those functions for a publicly traded company, basically all the company that was not sales and finance, that was running into the dot-com bubble of around the year 2000. So we had a very nice, very successful exit in 2000, which at that time gave me the freedom to do something else if I wanted to. And it turned out I wanted to go back to school. So at that point, at the age of 40, I went back to school and I did a PhD in physics, which was a lot of fun. I taught for a few years. I enjoyed that. But ultimately, it was time to go back to work. And then I embarked on what I think of as career number 2, which was educational technology and then data science. In that career number 2, I did a venture-funded startup, Adapt Courseware. We ultimately raised $15 million. We produced very high-end online college courseware, put over $1 million of video production into a single course, had an adaptive learning platform that would help motivate the students. Students loved it. Administrators loved it because it would substantially and measurably improve student outcomes, just student course completion rates, student term over term retention. So students loved it, administrators loved it, professors hated it, and ultimately killed the product. And so the product, I like to say the product was successful, the company was not. So that was 4 years out of my life having that entrepreneurial journey with a venture-funded startup. As that was winding to an end, I was realizing what data science was. This was around 2014, 2015, that it was the next big thing. And also that there were a lot of physicists in data science, and that's because the math is very familiar. It's an easy transition mathematically for a physicist. So I took about 6 months and I turned myself into a data scientist. I went through a bunch of textbooks, I did online courses, and then worked as a titled data scientist for a year in a telecom company. So that was a nice match. And then my last role was director of education for an AI software company called DataRobot, headquartered in Boston. DataRobot is one of these unicorns. It's an over $1 billion valued pre-IPO company. And I worked there until the end of 2019 when I believed I was doing an early retirement. So I thought I was doing early retirement. And now I find it turns out I just wanted a 4-year break. And I've enjoyed that. I've had a lot of fun, and I've traveled a lot, and it's been great. But ultimately, I found I was restless and wanted to do more than just be a consumer of experiences. And so that's why I'm here. So I refer to myself as unretired. I was encouraged to put a lot of nice imagery in my presentation, and because AI is my thing, of course, I'm using AI to generate the slightly uncanny imagery, so you're welcome. And with that, I will give you my elevator pitch. I'm John. I advise companies on AI strategy, both mature companies with substantial operations that want to improve their profit margins and their customer experience, and also early stage companies that want to add an AI component to their product or service. Very often, companies or leaders that are new to artificial intelligence will make a range of pretty identifiable, both technical and business mistakes in bringing AI into their operations. And that can lead to delays and even disappointing results, which I can help avoid. Just to give you a little bit more of a concrete picture of what we're talking about, because there are all kinds of AIs, all kinds of applications for AI. Mostly what I focus on, and I believe where most of the value creation is for companies today, is in predictive modeling. It's using AI to make predictions about business operations so we can manage them better. So we might have a particular hypothetical company here with a value creation chain, financing, staffing, and so on. Maybe we will do some work to improve their cash forecasting and get a 0.5% improvement on their company-wide profit margin. We could do a better job of forecasting employee retention and managing employee retention. Same thing with parts inventory management, equipment failure forecasting, customer retention, and so on. There's hundreds of applications for this. We might do all of these things and at the end have a, let's say, over 10% improvement in the profit margin of the company. This would be a typical application for AI. There are a lot more famous applications for AI, particularly around large language models and generative AI, which I'm happy to talk about. But I do not believe that that is where most of the value creation from AI comes today. As I said, there's technical and business pitfalls. There's things that can go wrong. Some of them are highly technical and have highly technical names like overfitting and target leakage, which I'll tell you about if you ask. But there are also just straight up managerial and business mistakes that are made. One very common mistake is to hire very expensive, highly capable data scientists and then silo them off maybe in the IT department away from the line managers and the operations that actually have to deliver results. And that has all kinds of pathological consequences that, again, I'm happy to talk about. I help organizations in a variety of ways. One is leadership workshops. When I was at Data Robot, I led the customer training team, but also personally delivered over 100 leadership seminars for organizations like Bank of America, Walmart Canada, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Defense Intelligence Agency. That's a lot of what I did in that organization. So I'm deeply experienced at helping senior leaders in organizations understand what AI is and think through what it can do for them, help to separate hype from opportunity, set realistic expectations, think about how to manage their teams, and so on. I can work with organizations on overall AI road mapping, how to set priorities. If they're already embarked on an AI journey, help them with strategy review. I can certainly help with team building if they need to add AI talent to their organization. I personally have a large network of people I know, as well as a lot of, I think, useful insight into the sorts of people that they should be looking for, and could even take on project management and deliver an AI system to a company if that's where they were and if that's where they needed. Okay, so I've been at this for about 2 months once I decided it was time to go back to work again. By the way, this is what you get if you ask an AI system to generate a steampunk image of business networking. I particularly like the goggles. So there you go.
I like that it's a saloon.
Yeah,
Seeing
yeah.
women.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was uncomfortable that there's only one woman, but there is at least one, and it's old timey. So anyway, mostly what I've been doing over the last couple of months is kind of nonstop personal networking and just meeting as many people as I can, and that's a lot of why I'm here. And that's led to, I think, some useful connections, none of which have led to a client yet. What I'm also doing is making as many presentations as I can. I'm scheduled now, over the next couple of months, I'm scheduled to talk to 3 Rotary clubs, the Kiwanis Club in town, at the Wheels Museum, And at the end of July, I will be presenting at Rainforest across the street. So I'm looking for as many opportunities as I can to speak to groups of business leaders. Recently, in CNM Ingenuity, when I was meeting with them, they clued me into, there's a whole other layer of leadership organizations that I want to start working on. There's one called Vistage, for example, where CEOs will meet. There are others. There's the Albuquerque Economic Council. So that's my next round, is looking for these next level of leaders of mature organizations. The marketing that I'm not doing yet, and for those of you who are leading your own business, these are, I think we all have thoughts about these things. Things I'm not doing yet, but are on the maybe list, vertical applications. What I mean by that is, right now I'm going very broad. I'm saying, tell me about your business and we will together find ways that we can improve your operations working together. Very generic, very broad approach. Instead, in addition, what I could be doing is saying, let's work on employee retention. And this might, for example, be in partnership with a human resources consultant, somebody that has those relationships to say, let's really focus on how many employees do you lose in a year? How can we be better at predicting that? How can we be better at influencing that? I'm not doing any SEO. I'm not doing any thought leadership stuff like newsletters and blogs. I would like to conduct this business in New Mexico. But to me, it is an open question as to whether there is a sufficient base of mature companies with large operations and decision-making in the state, and or enough early stage companies with sufficient funding that I can have, let's say, 1 or 2 new clients a month in the state. I want that to be the case. I hope it's the case. If it's not, I may be commuting part-time to Phoenix or Denver or something like that. There are a variety of organizations where you pay more or less to participate in networking opportunities. There's the Chamber of Commerce, there's the Trusted Advisors Network. There are others. I'm talking to them, I'm thinking about it, I may participate. So far, the only sort of paid to participate group I've joined is the New Mexico Angels. So thanks to Paul and Graham. By the way, I've told Graham this before, my very first session here, they cornered me. It felt like an intervention. And they said, you have to join the New Mexico Angels. So I did. That's Paul's influence. I'm not doing any cold solicitations, and boy, I don't expect to, but it's on the list. What I mean by that is just straight up emailing COOs that I don't know and telling them who I am and asking for work. Maybe it'll come to that. I kind of hope not. And I don't even think that that's super effective compared to warm introductions, but it's on the list. So we come here and say what help we need. This is the help I think I need, but you know, if somebody else thinks I need a different kind of help, I'd love to hear about that. Please introduce me to leaders of mature and startup businesses who want to initiate or improve their AI strategy, and or help me find additional opportunities to speak to groups of business leaders. That would be, I think, the help that I would ask for. And there's my contact information. Thank you.
All right, you guys know the drill. Come on up. I'll put his contact information in chat. John, move back just a tiny bit, not sideways, just back so they can see your head.
Hi, John. I'm Paul Sauter with Equiseek, as you know. So my question is a particular use case. If you're a direct-to-consumer company, as we are, a lot of time is spent on the inbox. You know, customers like, how do I buy a test? And they have to push the buy button out of the way to get to the contact form. I mean, so and you're answering the same 3 or 4 questions again and again. And I know the correct answer to this question is, it depends. But can you give me a ballpark estimate of what an AI inbox management system that can handle the bulk of the queries would cost a year? It depends.
It's a very interesting question. Businesses have to be at the scale, one way or another, where this sort of effort makes sense. Because, you know, if we start going down this road, if I go down this road with a mature company or with an early stage company, by the time we've developed an operational system, it's going to be at least high 5 figures, maybe into 6 figures. And so about the first thing you want to do is, if you're a mature company, say, okay, if we think we can improve something by 2%, what's that worth to us? And how does it compare to, we're going to end up spending 150K or whatever to put it in place. If you're an early stage company where money is a lot tighter, then you have to be thinking about it in terms of, if we add this to our offering, what does it do to our evaluation? But you know, I think, at least my feeling is, at the level that I work and the kind of projects that I want to work on, about the first thing would be, do we really see maybe at least 100K annual benefit out of this?
Okay, thanks. That's really helpful. And that's directed at the fairly standard question you get is, what's your ideal customer? But you've already addressed it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Thomas. Nice to meet you. I mostly got up because I didn't see anybody else getting up. And I was like, okay. I've got a surface level question and then maybe one a little bit deeper. First one is, you mentioned that there's maybe not that much of a market in New Mexico.
I don't know.
Why are you here? If so, are you alone? No, it's
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Yeah. Okay. Why am I here? Remember, I said that I thought I was retiring. I moved to Albuquerque as a retirement community. I was originally, my last role was in Boston. I lived right in downtown Boston. It was expensive and cold. There's a lot I like about Boston, but it was expensive and cold. And so I was looking for, where can I go that has better weather and a lower cost of living? And that's what got me here. Once I got here, I found I really liked it. And I didn't mention, but I spent the last year traveling. I just came back in March from a year of travel, full time. And I had organized my life so that I could have traveled indefinitely for years. I didn't have a place here. I put myself in storage. I could have just kept going, but I found that I was restless and that I was not satisfied with that. At that moment, I could have said, okay, I can locate myself anywhere I want. I don't have to go back to Albuquerque, but it really was not even a close decision. I'm just very fond of the community. And if over the next 5 or 10 years, in what I guess is going to be career number 3, one of the things I can achieve is a modest contribution to the New Mexico economy, that would feel good to me.
That makes no sense. The other question was going to be something around. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got another one though.
Yeah.
If nobody else has
Yeah, go
questions.
for
Why did you go back and do your PhD in physics after having a career, something that you're passionate about? Or
That's a good question. And maybe there's, of course, there's a personal aspect to it.
Yeah.
My high school journey was interrupted. My parents split up, and I didn't do my senior year of high school. So it's actually, for me, I'm actually proud of the fact that I have a PhD. I also have a GED. I didn't graduate from high school in the normal way. My 2 closest friends from high school both became career college professors. And so I sometimes think, well, maybe I would have been on that track. So in some sense, I don't regret it. I think my journey was a good one and I'm satisfied with it, but it certainly was diverted. And so it was very nice for me to have the freedom and the opportunity to go back and do that. I thought about other things. I thought about maybe I'll do a doctorate in Spanish, for example, but I was just drawn to, I wanted to think about some of the most fundamental things, and I had a chance to do that. It was satisfying.
okay, I will give up the mic, I guess. But thank you.
Good morning, John. I'm John Patrick. We've met before.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I have a couple of questions, and these may be on people's minds here. So the first question is, are you the developer of the AI, or do you lease it? And how does that work? Like, are you leasing it and then like you're selling the service of data science?
So I am personally capable of building AI systems. I can code, I know the libraries, I've done it, I can do it. I'm not going to do it either as efficiently or maybe as absolutely up to the date, or as people that do it all day long. And so it may be that I find some situations where I'm personally, my hands are on the keyboard and I'm coding and I'm building something that I deliver to a client. It's much, I think, more likely that either I will coach the company's internal IT teams in terms of what to do, or partner. I mean, we talked with William about partnering, about, maybe I'll bring in some additional talent. As I said, I have a large network of people that I know of lots of specialists, lots of skill levels, including really some of the absolutely most expert people in the world on some of this stuff, I know. And so I can bring in who I need to. So maybe I'll end up doing some things, some data work, some coding myself. I think it's much more likely that I will be coaching either internal or external teams to get it done. And I think that's sort of more appropriate for where I am.
So what would you just say to someone like me, a small business that wants to access AI, but doesn't have the financing to do the 5 or 6 figure employment of it? So for like example, trying to find new customers or trying to like break into markets. I mean, there's so many types of AI out there and people kind of all clump it into like a big category of artificial intelligence, but there are specific AIs that just can do certain functions. We saw the presentation with the artwork. And so it would be the specific ones that you're using. And then to answer my question, like how could that benefit me as a small business?
There's no question that the technical bars are coming down and that there are more and more, sometimes they're called non-coding platforms that allow you to access AI technology. I think maybe if you haven't done it, the best place to start is just to use this technology personally and get a better sense of what it can do. If you haven't done it, I would recommend to anyone, just go to the ChatGPT website. You can get access at a free level, but I actually recommend you pay $20 a month and get to the ChatGPT 4.0 level. It's not 4.0, it's 4.0 level. It is amazing. I didn't take the time in this presentation, but I'm doing it in other presentations. It did this artwork in a matter of seconds. It writes correct and complete computer programs. It answers questions. Like one of actually the most fun and satisfying things I've done, which I would recommend to anyone, is ask ChatGPT to answer questions as a historical person. So for example, George Washington, why did you not run for a 3rd term as president? And I have gotten some amazing responses that I think will stay with me forever in terms of their level of insight and even the fact that seemed to be using the language of the person. I would also recommend, just for fun, playing around with the song generation AI. So I particularly use one called Suno, S-U-N-O. It is amazing. You work at it at different levels of detail, but one is you just put in a phrase and a style of music and there you go. And some of them are really good. So that I think might be a good place to just start using this technology personally and then see how the wheels are turning in terms of, could you use this in your business?
Yeah, that last one really scares me because I'm a musician. And it's like, okay, robots are doing it now, hire them. But I mean, but there's a heart in the art of, that's still, I think, important. So in the future, how do you see business in the future moving forward with AI and how important is it going to be? And are you kind of like jumping on that train right now to kind of be ahead of the curve?
So we're in a hype cycle. It's, there's actually people study this. You could Google the Gartner hype cycle and you see the graph of hype and so on. We're in a big hype cycle. I get tired of it. Every company feels like they have to say that somehow what they do is AI. And when you dig into it, you find out, okay, they're just saying they use software, but AI is, there's no relevant legal definition. It is, I guess, what you say it is, right? Although there's, I think, more we could think about that. This is, though, I'm in the business, so you weigh this as you want. It is a transformative technology. There will be winners and losers. And I don't really have any question that there will be, 10 years from now, we will be seeing which companies figured this out and were able to take advantage of it and which ones didn't. It's that kind of a technological transformation. There's an Elon Musk, Elon Musk, among other things, great producer of quotes. There's an Elon Musk quote: if your competitor is building AI and you are not, they will crush you. And I think that is substantially true in a lot of industries. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a question online, so we're gonna add Phil to the screen. Hi, Phil.
Hi, everybody. Hi, John. Phil Wilton, Executives Outcomes. I do business strategy as well, thinking differently and simply about strategy. In regards to your questions about what you should do to try and get clients. I have the same situation as you. I had that same situation when I was in Albuquerque. I went to Albuquerque and thoroughly, I went to New Mexico and thoroughly enjoyed the state. It's an amazing state. Unfortunately, I got dragged back to New York, so I'm here. Chamber of Commerce, I'd recommend that you do join. I joined the Chamber of Commerce here the second time I'm in New York. I didn't do it the first time. And it's opened up a lot of doors. Our Chamber of Commerce does what they call BizU. It's kind of like a short business university where you can present to the chamber and you will be able to present your AI business strategies to the Chamber of Commerce. And you get all it's open, the chamber actually put that out on they market that for you to all of their all the people that belong to the chamber members, sorry, word escaped me, and you'll be able to do presentations there. I've done the BizU and I got 2 clients from that. Internally also, if it's a large Chamber of Commerce and it has a large membership base, they may do business referral groups within each district around Albuquerque. Yeah. And if they do business referral groups, then you should join those as well, because then you're mixing with local people within a group in that district or in that region. And so that's worth doing. I know they also have an economic development council down there, same as we do in New York, and it's worth joining them as well. Go to them and join them. And the Economic Development Council gives, and both the chamber, if you speak to who runs both of those, the presidents, they'll give you a lot of information about different companies and the size of companies you're looking for. And the other one I would suggest is if you're not on LinkedIn, then get on LinkedIn, because and build a base there. And when you build a base, if you're asking people to join you, that you search on LinkedIn, then give them some feedback, give them a little bit of value. And then when you start getting people to come to you and say, can I join your network? You can always review them and then you can accept them. And then when you accept them, give them a hello and tell them what you do and maybe some value propositions that you can give to them on AI, something that's simple. And then you'll find you'll quickly build a LinkedIn base as well. So they're the 3 things that I would do if I were you, and again, putting yourself around.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Are in LinkedIn, are you referring to something more than the network of connections and the posts that you do on LinkedIn? Is there a different thing, or is that what you're referring to?
There's that as well. There's the network of connection, trying to build a network. The whole point of LinkedIn is to put yourself out there and to build yourself a network while you're out there. And I've managed to get into the Consulting Alliance, for example, which is a group of different consultants in different with different specialities. And they've come together as a group and said, what can we offer if we get together as a group? And so that's another area that I'm working on at the moment. What was your other question about LinkedIn? Sorry?
No, I think you got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Morning. My name is David Nanneman with Rosetta Design Group. I'm curious about the portion of the cycle where the manager or the person who is not a data scientist is getting the report or something like that. How is that generated? What does it look like? How do they continue to query? You know, I guess this would be the subject matter expert that's receiving the report.
So the subject matter expert is both I think a participant and a consumer of the process. Participant in the sense that as I said, there can be a danger in isolating data scientists and not having them interact enough. Let's say you wanted to build a employee retention model, and you might go to the HR department and say, okay, what's all the data we have about our employees for last year? And then the answer, did they or did they not voluntarily leave the company? Because that's the thing we're going to want to predict in the future. And they'll have all of the HR data. But you might go to one of the managers that manages a lot of these people, and if you talk to them, they say, you know what, actually, commuting distance is killing us. We lose people because their commutes are so awful. That wouldn't be true here in Albuquerque, but in another market. Well, that's not in the HR database, but it probably is data you could collect. You say, where do they live? What's their office? And I've had organizations who have actually gone through that analysis and decided, we're going to create some satellite offices because this is such a big problem for our employees. So that's an example of how the subject matter expertise informs the process. You can predict maybe significantly better employee retention because of that insight of, hey, commute distance really matters and it's not in our HR data, but we better get it there. Then once you build the model, you're predicting probabilities. You're saying, well, Jim has a 30, this is what you get. Jim has a 36% chance he's going to leave us in the next year. Okay. Susan, it's a 78% chance that she's going to leave us in the next year. And then you could answer the question, why? That is to say, what are the facts about Susan that lead this to be a 78% chance? And maybe it's the commute. Maybe it's she hasn't had a raise in 3 years. Maybe it's her jerky boss. You know, actually, I've had more than one organization say, yeah, we don't want to include the who's the boss column in employees. we don't want to know. We don't want. But maybe it's, you know, what is it? And then you can play with the model. You can say, well, what if we gave Susan a raise? Or what if we changed her boss? Or what if we put in a satellite office and shortened her commute? Oh, if we do that, now she's not at a 78% chance of leaving us. She's at a 42% chance of leaving us. And so you can play with the model and say, what interventions could we use? Same thing with customer retention. You know, there are hundreds of applications for this. Maybe actually across industries, number one application, a customer retention model. Everybody's got customers. You lose them. You don't like to lose them. So same thing. Let's predict the probability we're going to lose a certain customer in the next year. And then if we don't like the answer, well, what do we think would happen to the probability if we lowered their prices? What do we think would happen to the probability if we increase their service level, and so on? What interventions should we do, and what do we think that will? How do we think that will shift the probability of a negative outcome?
What's the timeline cycle for let's give it the retention example you gave? Can you see a difference after changing practice in 6 months, or does it require, you know, what timeline?
Paul knows the answer to this question.
It depends.
Yeah. So one of the questions is going to be, do we have all of the data we need? And sometimes you start going down this road and you figure out, when you talk to the subject matter experts, some of the most important facts to predict what we want to predict, but we just haven't been capturing that. And so, okay, all right, well, now let's start, but then you got to wait 6 months or a year, whatever. So yeah, again, it depends. There are, I think, under absolutely optimal circumstances, that is, say, if you went in there, the team was committed to urgency to get this done, you had all the data you needed, you know, then it's just going to come down to how fast is the IT department in terms of operationalizing, because it's relatively easy to build a prototype, to build a standalone off to the side piece of software that does the thing. There's lots of libraries that can do that. And that could be done maybe in, you know, a matter of weeks. But then there's also the step of, oh no, but we're operating at scale, and you did the prototype in Python, but our whole system is in Java, so now we have to port, you know, so you know, then months maybe, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Miriam Ortiz Pino, More Than Organized. I wanted to follow up on what Bill was saying about LinkedIn, plus your desire to be more of a thought leader. So you should definitely start a Substack, like ASAP.
Okay.
Write some stuff. I know people in TAN and someone that's good with SEO and writing blogs and newsletters that can help you as well, and she's in TAN. So I'll introduce you.
Thank you.
And then the LinkedIn thing, there's several different levels of LinkedIn, but they, in addition to council thing, there's a council of experts. There's the ability to target specific industries and like the searchability, once you have the higher level, gets really targeted for you. And there's ways to automate the outreach. So I think that would be a great resource for you as well. And then the third thing is chambers. In addition to the greater Albuquerque, we have the Hispanic, we have the Green, we have the Native American, and we have the LGBTQ. So there's at least 5 others in town. And they have most of the same ones in Santa Fe branches as well.
Thank you. Maybe we should talk about those things. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I had a marketing guy that worked for me at one point, and what he said maybe stayed with me too much, but it did create an impression. He said, nothing says you don't care like a dusty blog. That is to say, if you're going to go down this road of I'm a thought leader and I produce content, you have to demonstrate your commitment through doing it. And so I think I'm just on that fence right now of saying, yeah, I absolutely could do this. How much is it going to deliver? And am I prepared? What's that?
It could be.
Yeah. And am I prepared for whatever is the commitment to do it, right?
Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Franklin. I'm a farmer, but I also have bricks and mortar business. And right now we're renewing a lease. And our old style approach is find what other buildings are leasing for per square foot. And then it involves a personal interaction with the management team of our national tenant. When will my AI talk to their AI to renegotiate a lease?
Actually, I was talking with somebody about this yesterday. They were talking about, I don't think they exist, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a year or 2 away, maybe something like that. The idea that yes, that there are going to be autonomous agents that are interacting with each other, that your autonomous agent talks to the landlord's autonomous agent or whatever it is. And then they just come to you and say, hey, this is the deal we worked out. What do you think?
So we will generate a rate and then it'll involve personality, interaction, and making our tenant feel good. And they'll evaluate the cost of staying versus the cost of moving, and they're not gonna move, so.
Yeah.
Even with and I'm gonna run a test on the AI. I'm gonna ask, I loaded that app you mentioned, gonna ask that question. Next question, I'm reading the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. And Elon's goal is to get to Mars to colonize. And his fear is that AI will take over and control humans. So I'll give you the mic, see what you say.
He's the one that created Starlink.
Yeah. So I would recommend to anyone a book called The Precipice by Toby Ord. Toby Ord is a professor of philosophy at Oxford. And The Precipice is not only about AI, it's about generally existential threats to humanity, of which general AI is one. And in fact, in that book, he rates it as the highest risk over the next century, higher than meteor impact or super volcanoes or whatever you want. So if you want to know more, I really think it's an excellent book, The Precipice by Toby Ord. I think there's no question that this is going to be a pretty interesting couple of decades, and there's going to be substantial change in the way that we live and in the way that we work. Just go to the OpenAI website. OpenAI is the organization that creates ChatGPT. And on their website, their stated mission is that we want to create generalized artificial intelligence that can outperform humans at most economically valuable work. That's their stated, that's what they're saying in public. So think about the implications of that. If there are AI systems that can outperform humans at most economically valuable work.
It goes back to what you mentioned earlier. If you're not developing AI, your competitor is.
Yes, yeah. And so, it's good conversation, I think, over a beer, what the social implications of this are and what we should do about it. I think they are undoubtedly substantial.
Hello, Danielle with Conscious Crossroads End of Life Services. I probably have one of those few jobs that a robot can never do. It's just real talk. But kind of to piggyback on where this conversation has started going, I recently took a few minutes and played around with ChatGPT and then sat down and cried afterwards. I literally had like a breakdown moment. Again, the amount of effort and time and energy and love that I put into my copy and my content and the things that I give to my clients and put on my website and the few LinkedIn posts and stuff that I do. 2 seconds, better, right? It's written better. It looks better. It's inauthentic, right? It's not real. It's disembodied knowledge. To me, the fear doesn't come from like the Terminator scenario where they're literally going to come and shoot us. It's that when we lose the felt connection to information, it's really easy to start making decisions that are amoral, not compassionate, right? Not empathetic or kind. Like there are some things that a machine just can't do. And so I can't help but the whole conversation, my gut is just, and then we mentioned music, right? Like the soul behind the music is the human that put it in there, you know? And so what are your thoughts on all of that part of it?
So in the Toby Ord book that I mentioned, he talks about existential risk to humanity. That doesn't just mean extinction of humans, like in the Terminator. It could also mean getting locked into an authoritarian state that we can never get out of. It can also mean, to I think your point, kind of complete demoralization. That, well, like what do we do that these systems can't do? So, you know, as I said, yes, I have more thoughts about this, but maybe again, it's more appropriate for a beer conversation. But I would, you know, maybe let me just say, I actually believe that in the long run, if humans lose their value as economic producers, which I think is probable, what value is less? I think you could think of the value of humans, one of them as being in terms of political agents, and that it will be all of our jobs over the next 10 or 20 years to make sure that political processes work in the right way so that this economic transition works reasonably well for everybody. So you could think about that.
You're welcome. 2 more questions, John. Red or green?
Red.
And what's the one thing this community can do for you today?
Introduce me to business leaders that want to either embark on or review their AI strategy.
Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause. John. It is the end of the month, so I only have a few events left on the calendar, but I will announce them. And as always, if you want a list of these events, email me at lisa@fatpipeabq.com. The small business grants for women. Did anyone apply for this? I did get a few people. Oh, she did. What's it about? Can you give us any insight? Did you apply? Would you like to come up and tell us what the application was about and what they're funding? Just real quick.
It's just your idea is you give similar period of background to why you started your business and what would you do with your business.
So your idea, why you started your business and what would you do with it?
Grant.
And what would you do with the money if you were given a grant? It's only eligible to women and the deadline is the end of the month. So yes.
Yeah, they also ask her, what is your authentic, heartfelt reason for doing it? And it's not the standard grant thing. You have to answer 50 bazillion questions. It's a very easy process. So.
Oh, easy process. So maybe all the women entrepreneurs here should.
How does one get?
Should apply. Send me an email at lisa@fatpipeabq.com and I will send you this document, which has a link in it. Activate NM, we're in June events now. Their inaugural Space Fiesta at the Rail Yards is June 6th. And we have a workshop with Deanna Vincent at Fat Pipe BBQ, June 19th from 11:30 to 1. Things to do before taking your business out in public. She felt like there was a need because a lot of people get up here to present at 1 Million Cups and they don't have social media or a website. And so let's talk about some of the basics that you need, and she'll help us work through that. Catharsis Media is back this week. Of course, they're filming our presentations and those are available online on their channel. Or there is also a web link, and that information is in this document. Does anybody else have an event they want to announce? No.
This isn't actually a new event. It's part of the Space Fiesta. The IoT Ingenuity from CNM has been invited to have a table. And so there's going to be at least 5 entrepreneurs like myself that have developed their prototypes in the class, along with Nora Mia, who works for CNM, and then Brian Rashap, who's the professor of the department. And so we're going to be displaying our prototypes and showing them live in front of the public. And it's 5 of the alumni from the class, and they're very interesting products and prototypes. And I don't know, it seems very interesting to be part of the Space Fiesta and kind of see what New Mexico is doing in space. So, you know, even though our prototypes aren't going into outer space, it's kind of showing the future of IoT and those kind of processes. So please come and visit us and see the inventions at work.
Annie, I'll call on you in just a minute. Fine, Clifton.
Morning.
Good morning.
So Clifton Chadwick with Comunicaciones Cocopelli. Albuquerque is one of 14 cities across the great United States that offers free Shakespeare in the park in the summertime. New Mexico Shakespeare Festival will open June 7th with The Tempest, and June 8th will be The Merry Wives of Windsor, and they will alternate. And yours truly is Sir John Falstaff in The Merry Wives of Windsor.
Awesome. Okay, sorry.
Hi, Deanna Vincent, Dry Heat Photography, and so I just wanted to invite everyone to the Roadrunner Business Networking Visitors Day, which is, I think it's next Thursday on June 6th from 11:30 to 1 at Jimmy's Cafe on Jefferson. And it's free to attend, and all entrepreneurs are invited to come check it out and see if that would be a good fit for you. So June 6th, 11:30 to 1, Jimmy's Cafe.
Annie, you want to say something?
I wanted to ask about the small business grant for women. When is the last day to apply and where do I go?
Last day of the month, send me an email, lisa@fatpipebq.com, and I'll send you the document.
All right. Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Anybody else? All right, Paul.
Newcomers.
Oh yeah, do we have any newcomers? Would you like to introduce yourself? Are you sure? We're very friendly. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. Didn't expect to come up and say hi.
Give us your name, maybe what your business is and how you heard about 1 Million Cups.
Sure. So my name is Chitra, and I am a doctor of Ayurveda. I specialize in women's health, specifically menopause. So I know that there are a lot of men here, but you too are affected by menopause, or your employees or your partners are. So I work with women who do not want to or cannot take HRT, which is hormone replacement therapies. That's about it. Thank you.
We'd love for you to present here. All right, I guess that's it. Anybody online new? I don't think so, but no, I think we're good.
Okay, well, thank you for that talk. That's really thought-provoking. And I do sense, as I've been to a couple talks on AI now, and there's a lot of fear in the audience. And you know, we're always afraid of things that are new. That's natural. The response to that is to inform yourself. But I'd also like to encourage you to embrace radical optimism. I mean, you turn on the news, if it bleeds, it leads. So every night is violence and crime, and people get a completely mistaken impression of what's going on. And radical optimism means just today, is as good as it's ever been. And the future is going to be very much better than today. And I'm thinking about this because I read an article advocating this. Calvin Coolidge, when he was in the White House, his son was playing tennis, 16 years old, got a blister on his toe. It got infected. This is the early part of the 20th century, and he died. Today, an American teenager on Medicaid has access to better healthcare than the son of the president of the United States. Okay, 20 years from now, you're going to be looking at healthcare and say, boy, 20 years ago, that was a joke, right? Look what we have now, right? And so don't be afraid of AI, embrace it. As a scientist, it's already delivered AlphaFold, which is fantastic for my field, and it's all free, and people can take complete advantage of it through your tax dollars. It's all publicly available. Fantastic innovation. And the implications of that for public health are going to play out over the next several decades. So it's not just that we're all going to lose our stupid jobs where we're doing repetitive work that's better done by a machine. You know, we can look at our society and say, you know, what should people actually be doing? What is it our nature to be doing? What are we good at? And how are we going to take care of each other besides being units of economic productivity? So thanks again for a very thought-provoking talk. And please embrace radical optimism. And I'll see you next week, which will definitely be fun because I'm presenting. Thank you.
Everybody.